Hello and welcome to RTD's English News Edition, the top stories. The President of the Republic received the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the State for African Affairs. In Democratic Republic of Congo, doctors are on strike. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received today at the Presidential Palace a high-level U.S. delegation led by Mr. Donald Yamamoto, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, while working in Djibouti as part of the Djibouti-United States of America Bilateral Forum, ways and means to further promote and develop the already excellent relations of friendship and cooperation between the two countries were discussed during this meeting. The discussions were then extended to the strategic partnership with the two nations in having a number of areas including economic and military. It is worth recalling that the Republic of Djibouti and the United States of America have active collaboration in the field of economic development, in addition to the fact that our country includes the restricted Circle 6 in total of African nations benefiting from strategic American collaboration in the technologic domains that are the energy, Djibouti power, and the economic development. Djibouti first also preserve invaluable assistance from the U.S. friendly nation, including through USAID in human resource development. In the military and security field, too, the privileged nature of relations between the two countries is largely perspective through the fact that the Republic of Djibouti is home to the only U.S. military base in Africa. The high-level U.S. delegation led by Mr. Donald Yamamoto included Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Alan Patterson and USAID Deputy Director for Africa Julie Quenen. The Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs has in an interview talked about the meeting he had with the President of the Republic. This is what he said.
The relationship with Djibouti, as the Minister has said, is very strategic. We only have very few of these type of discussions in all of Africa. And so that underscores the importance that we place on Djibouti and the people of Djibouti. We will look to continue not only the development that we see in Djibouti, but also to promote the security, the safety, the economic development, and the future of Djibouti. And that really goes into the whole objective and approach of President Trump in Africa, because this continent is important, and it will be even more important by 2100, when we have 40% of the world's population will be African, and 30% of the world's labor force will be African. So we, the United States, really need to be a player, an important partner, and Djibouti's partnership is in that alignment, very important and very strategic.
Foreign Minister Mohammed Ali Yusuf, who spoke to the media and said that the relationship and cooperation between the two countries is in a good moment for this moment of strategy. The President of the Republic has talked to many emphases in the countries, including the military base in Djibouti and the national economy and the creation of jobs. The government is very interested in the relationship and cooperation between the Djibouti British Army and the establishing peace in the area of economic development. The fourth annual financial forum between the Republic of Djibouti and the United States of America was held this morning at the Diplomatic Institute. During this meeting, participants addressed several important issues related to security, cooperation, economic development, increased trade, energy, youth employment, and the regional situation. The meeting reaffirmed that the two countries have established a strategic partnership to strengthen economic cooperation, relations, investment, and infrastructure strengthening, including the energy sector. This high-level meeting also allowed both parties to express their commitment to continue fighting against all forms of extremism or against terrorist actions in East Africa. This forum has seen the participation of many officials and policymakers, thus the Djiboutian delegation, including besides the head of the Djiboutian diplomacy, the ambassador of Djibouti to the United States and official representative to the United Nations, Mr. Mohammed Siad Douali Warsama, several members of the government, including the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with the Parliament, Mr. Ali Hassan Bahdon, took part in this meeting. On the American side, there were the presence of senior officials, the U.S. State Department, the Department of Defense, and the United States Agency for International Development, USAID.
Having a workforce that's over 30% of the world's total workforce, and a youthful population where 70% will be probably under the age of 25. This poses a lot of opportunities, yet a lot of challenges if we're looking at what estimates show 50% unemployment rates. So the United States, we want you to know, Mr. Minister, that the United States is here today to say that we have an approach, we are serious, and that we want to be a part of this dynamic change taking place in Africa. So, Mr. Minister, this is the 4th binational forum. We only have 4. We have another subgroup meeting. But that means that Djibouti is, for the United States, an important strategic partner. So the United States, and what we're doing today, is that if we do not position ourselves to be your most important strategic partner as you are for us, as strategic partners we'll be discussing today, there are areas where we have challenges, but also we want to emphasize that we do so with the hope that as partners we can resolve these issues to look at the more important overall strategic relationship, which is really the future of Djibouti.
Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for African Affairs, Patterson, spoke at a meeting between the Djibouti government and the U.S. government on the situation in East Africa and the need to increase the fight against terrorist groups. Let's listen to him.
Those who seek to operate with transparency and benefit when others are free and prosperous, and those who pursue their own agenda at the expense of the African people. As we look to the future, the United States Department of Defense is in the midst of finalizing our new defense strategy for Africa. Building off the President's national security strategy and Secretary Mattis's national defense strategy, this new Africa strategy articulates our focus on promoting African-led security solutions, and it affirms our commitment to supporting the resilience and prosperity of the African people. In crafting this new Africa strategy, we recognize the indisputable reality that the United States is better off when the African people are at peace, when economic growth across the African continent is vibrant and sustainable, and when our efforts benefit not only the United States, but also the long-term interests of the people of Africa. So let me take this opportunity to thank the government and people of Djibouti for hosting Camp Lemonnier and welcoming the U.S. military and contract personnel in Djibouti. In this challenging region, Djibouti has maintained a leadership role in creating stability and peace and ensuring the security of the United States, Djibouti, East Africa, and the surrounding region.
Minister of Defense Ali Hassan Badoun stressed the importance of a partnership between the two countries' security and defense forces in his intervention. He thanked the United States for their constant support and assistance in the training of our forces. He said we need to reinforce a positive working relationship between the two military personnel to coordinate efforts to achieve goals that need to be highlighted, has emphasized the minister. And the head of the Djiboutian diplomacy, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, recalled in his speech the importance of this binational forum. Let's listen to him.
The forum has become our shared dialogue and negotiation framework in order to expedite and resolve a number of issues of common interest. It represents also the joint mechanism that we rely on to make our partnership sustainable. Djibouti is proud to have a great nation such as the United States of America as a friend, an ally, and a development partner. The strategic partnership is meant to restore peace in our region, strengthen security cooperation, and serve the global goals of a peaceful coexistence and co-development between our nations. The United States, as a global power, has always shouldered the responsibility of making the world a better place to live. It has continuously endeavored to assist the international community to overcome challenges related to peace, fighting poverty, pandemics, violent extremism, and radicalization. Djibouti has been supporting the United States close to 2 decades in the course of the achievement of those goals. Dear friends, we will urge the United States to keep on championing that visionary ambition of a peaceful and a prosperous world. In our sub-region, the challenges are numerous. Somalia, Yemen, South Sudan, Eritrea, all these countries have to cope with unstable internal situations. The spillover effect on the neighboring countries cannot be excluded. Therefore, we need to remain vigilant and proactive. As long as those centers of tensions will continue to be vivid, fighting terrorism, piracy, and violent extremism will have to be coupled with development incentives.
A delegation composed of representatives of the country local communities visited the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed. The meeting with the Prime Minister took place on Wednesday morning in the presence of the Prime Minister's Cabinet Director Yusuf Aulet Farah. The delegation of local elected officials consisted of Mayor of Fatuma Awal Osman and the presidents of 5 interior regions respectively, Mr. Umar Ahmed Wais, President of the Regional Council of Ali Sabih, Mr. Ilmi Bouh Godan, President of the Regional Council of Arta, and Mr. Abdurrahman Yunus Arri, President of the Dakhli Regional Council, Mr. Muhammad Hamad Ismail, President of the Obok Regional Council, Mr. Umar Hussein Umar, President of the Regional Council of Tajura. Representatives of local authorities have the mission to put into practice decentralization policy, a priority on the agenda of the President of the Republic, with the creation in May 2016 of a delegated ministry in charge of decentralization. Also, discussions with the Prime Minister focused on the best way to strengthen the local governance of public services in close collaboration with the government. The President of the National Assembly, His Excellency Mohammed Ali Hamad, received this morning a courtesy visit of the Mayor of the City of Djibouti, various presidents of the regional councils of the districts of the interior. The meeting took place in the VIP lounge of the National Assembly and in the presence of PAN's Chiefs of Staff, Mr. Idris Mohammed Ahmed. In addition, they have not failed to welcome this YouTube accountability initiated by the PAN, and as well as whose objective is to establish a framework that will further improve the cooperation between local elected representatives. The Ministry of Communication for Postal and Telecommunications, Abdi Yusuf Suge, received today late in the morning the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kenya, Ms. Amba Monica Juma, in his office. The Kenyan Minister of Foreign Affairs was head of a strong delegation from her department. Discussions between the two parties focus on strengthening bilateral cooperation relations between Djibouti and Kenya. At the end of the hearing, the Kenyan Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Amba Juma, received a gift from the Minister of Communication for Postal and Telecommunications. The General Manager of Djibouti Telecom, Mohammed Sourbo, attended the meeting. The Minister of Housing and Urban Planning, Mr. Musa Mohammed Ahmed, received this morning in his office the Ambassador of Japan accredited to Djibouti, His Excellency Kishi Yunitani, the Acting Secretary General, also Director of Environment, Mr. Hussein Virash, took part in the meeting. The Minister first highlighted the long and excellent relation between Djibouti and Japan, a sister country. Discussions focus on the ways and means to strengthen cooperation with Japan in the areas of climate change, of marine biodiversity, monitoring and protection of the environment in general. The Minister also discussed with the representative of Japan the possibilities of training in capacity building in the field of environment and urban planning, and finally asked for support from Japan for the establishment of an environmental monitoring laboratory and an anti-pollution center. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, Hassan Mohammed Kamil, went this afternoon to the villages of Haramuz Games to take part in the launch alongside the young athletes of the host countries. The goal was not only to enjoy with them the local gastronomy and moments of great conviviality and sharing, but also a good time to listen to young people and meet their immediate needs. Indeed, the guests of Djibouti have found to their taste different dishes at their disposal, which also reflects the quality of flavors of our meals. And far from the sports fields, while these countries clash, they gather around the same table to savor the food exchange and appreciate it as well. Finally, the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports congratulated the subcommittee responsible for the restoration of organizing committee of 11th Games of the French-speaking countries on the Indian Ocean. Yesterday's competition of these 11th Games of the Commission of the Youth and Sports of the Indian Ocean countries gave the following results. In athletics on 100 meters for the women, the victory returns Mauritius first place, Anglais in the second place, and third place for Madagascar. For the 100 meters men, the victory returns for Mahirata Chevita, Madagascar. The second place returned for Maurice Alexander Yonga. Finally, the third place was won by Seychelles, Erza Youngman. For the men's 400-meter final, the first place was won by the Seychelles Caleb, and while the second and third were won by the Malagasy. The Ministry of Housing, Urban Planning and the Environment organized this morning at the People's Palace a workshop on the management of floods and water rejected by ships in mooring. This workshop is being held with the support of the regional organization for the conservation of the environment in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden Perska. The workshop was opened by the Acting Secretary General of the Ministry of Housing, Urban Planning and Environment, Mr. Hussein Rash Roble, in the presence of Mr. Adan Hassan Elmi, Technical Advisor of the Ministry of the Habitat, and Mr. Idris Ismail Noor, Assistant Director of Environment and Sustainable Development Department, and the representative of the Regional Organization for the Conservation of the Environmental in the Sea and in the Gulf of Aden. And here is what one of the participants said after the end of the workshop.
This seminar was held by the Minister of Habitat, and it was 3 days, and so it was benefit for us because we learned the different aspect of negotiation with the environment. So today we were able to see what the difference between a good negotiator and a bad negotiator. So it was beneficial, and the feedback was very clear. And for that, I would like to thank you, the Ministry of Habitat and the different experts who come from the Berska.
The Yemeni school in Djibouti organized a farewell ceremony for students of the 2017 class for a successful completed the study during this school year. This ceremony took place at the school's headquarters in the presence of Yemeni ambassador in Djibouti, Mr. Abdullah bin Muslim, chairman of the board, Mr. Raputarah Mohammed, and the president of the Parents' Council, Mr. Abdurrahman Ahmed Taha, in addition to the director of the school, Mr. Abdurrakib Muhammad Ali. During this ceremony, the students introduced traditional songs and dances as well as poems expressing their gratitude to the school administration and teachers. It should be noted that the number of students in this institution in this 2018 school year is about 960 students. The director of the school, Mr. Abdul Rakib Muhammad, expressed his congratulations to the 27 class of students who have successfully completed their study. Still in the context of rolling stock and reinforcement at the regional level, Acting Secretary General Dr. Saleh Bunaita, the Director of Health Regions, Mr. Ahmed, proceeded to the official delivery of 2 new ambulances as well as a vehicle of mobile team which are fully equipped and brand new for the benefit of the Dakhil sanitary region. The official ceremony took place in the presence of the chairman of the Regional Council of Al Sabih, Mr. Abdurrahman Yunisarra, and the acting chief of the Medical Center of Dakhil, Dr. Umar Muhammad Umar. Through this strategy of effective health decentralization, the Ministry of Health aims to ensure a gradual strengthening of local health systems to ensure their empowerment in the medium term. And now on the news outside our borders, in Kenya, near the largest camp in the world, Christians target the Shababs. More with Hind Ibrahim.
Militant Islamist group Al-Shabaab says it has killed 6 Christians in northeastern Kenya in an attack aimed at forcing them out of the region. The grenade and gun attack was launched on a residential block in Mandera town when people were sleeping, police said. It was the latest in a spate deadly attacks targeting Christians in the Mali Muslim region. In December 2014, Al-Shabaab killed 38 non-Muslims at a quarry after separating them from Muslim workers. A few months earlier, 28 people were killed after Muslim passengers were split up from the other passengers.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the doctors began a strike on Monday at the call of their main union, SINEMD. Let's listen to Hindi Brian for more details.
Who suspended a 2-week strike over better pay in public hospitals on Wednesday, September 6. The main medical union has said. SINEMD, Congressman Doctors Union, said the Democratic Republic of Congo's government had agreed to their demands for a salary increase. Currently, Congo's doctors working in public hospitals earn about $3,500 USD a month and want their pay increased to $1,000 USD a month to help them adjust to the high rate of inflation.
This is it for this news. Thank you for joining us on RTD and have a good night.